So I haven't touched Roberto before this. I haven't touched it in a while. This alignment. Last time I touched the Roberto chapter was on Xel'lotath. And at that point I decided to just grind Xel'lotath. Because well, there's really pretty much no difference in different alignments of Roberto. The only difference actually is a horror. I mean, there's some different enemies, but like something that actually makes a difference. There's just a horror that it's a Xel'lotath horror on Chattur'gha and Ulyaoth, which is really weird. Almost looks like a glitch for me. But it's a Chattur'gha horror in Xel'lotath alignment. I failed that. Which means if that horror happens to see you, which by the way, pretty much never happens, you will get an advantage, a tiny advantage on Xel'lotath. Because on Xel'lotath it's a Chattur'gha horror, and Chattur'gha horror do less damage, less vision damage. I think it's 20 instead of 25, or 30 instead of 25. It's like 5 or 10 difference. And that isn't that big of a deal, really. I think you're zero sanity at that point, so it's more damage, but we use a lot of pulls on Roberto, so it really doesn't matter. Roberto is one of those chapters that is pretty much the same. But I still wanted to update these things with the excuse of doing zombie hover with new strats. That's what we're gonna see here. And just an excuse to run Roberto again. So if I happen to get a PV, that's like an actual PV, you know, because it's comparable to the other good one that I had. So some assignments there. We make attack and pull. We're gonna be using mantra pulls. We need the attack for the trappers. There's probably a way to get past trappers, but it's very unsafe and I don't like it. It's not that hard to do it the first time. The problem is when you're coming back. Trappers can decide to be assholes. And then there's this part, the zombie hover part, which is actually faster now. At least compared to the RTA strat before. The very precise strat. So summon, no magic message, pause to gain movement. We enter when the trapper turns around. And then you get control of the trapper while Roberto gets to the smatcher, which saves you from dying and saves you from the game over. And then you can release the trapper and recover control over Roberto, but still keeping the very fun properties of zombie hover. It's pretty cool. And the fun properties of zombie hover are hovering. You don't have gravity, first of all, so you can only go up through, you know, collision of the floor. And also, there is no collision on the enemies when you go. You can go through enemies. That was meant to be a shield, but I didn't have enough magic. Either something went wrong on my road. I think my road is fine, but something went wrong on my running cycle, I guess. That I didn't got enough magic because I wanted to link those two spells. I actually got it on the other alignment, I think. Here there is no magic messages to avoid some chucks. We're just using a 3 spell, if I... Yeah, we only use a 3 spell because the 3 spell is already it's given to you on this chapter at the beginning, and it's better to just use that instead of making a 5 shield. And I also time it against hovering in that room, and hovering is lower than just making shields and no magic message. Since you still need to kind of assign it for the second trip here, otherwise it's really slow if you don't use shields. Kind of fucked it up, that. They're still gonna be slower if you fucked it up, but that was fine. Wasn't that terrible. So now we need the last survey. That's at the end of this room. You can go straight through enemies here. We're gonna go through the Reaper. We got a very good activation of the Trapper here. We're gonna summon a Trapper. No magic message to move during the summon. And if we enter this room during the summon, that skips a cutscene with Karim, which is not necessary to finish the chapter. And that saves a little bit of time. The trigger's still there. And if you're not cautious, you can hit it on your way back. And that can be pretty painful because you're gonna watch the cutscene anyways. So you have to fit between the corner and the trigger. It's not that hard. The trigger is not that big actually. It's kind of small actually. Or kind of just on the center of the loading zone, so it's easy to skip. Then since we have hovering abilities, we can just hover over some obstacles there. Here I actually hover a little bit there, a tiny bit, and that what makes is Roberto is actually hovering on that room, that previous room, just a tiny bit, and for some reason, I don't know if it's every room, but a lot of rooms, if not all of them, when you hover, you get like you get the sound of sand, like you're walking on sand, even while there's no sand below you. It's kind of weird. Yeah, this time loss is fake because this road, I'm comparing against another road that got the Alex cutscene later, I think. So the important thing is the last time, really. Just that. Yo, Nikai, how you doing?
You have done well to complete your goal, Bianchi.
That was good. I think my cat is on the door.
Continue as planned.
But the demons!
Ouch.
You'd be insane to build there.
Silence, dog.
I'll see if I can open the door for her.
Dwells beneath the forbidden
Oh, you're
city
getting my heater
is the very reason it was built.
on the camera, blinded by the heater.
To understand, you must witness it firsthand. Let me educate you. Guards!
And she's right
Put
here.
this one with the others of the sacrifice.
I want to say hello. Here's the cat. Hello, cat. I'm doing pretty alright.
Scourge of God, appointed to chastise you. Since no
Yeah, a long time.
knows the
I haven't
for
streamed
your
on like,
iniquity,
I don't know,
except
3 weeks?
me.
2 weeks?
You are wicked,
I guess 3.
but I
Not
am
entirely sure
more
how much.
than you. So be silent.
But I didn't stream in a while.
Now
But during that time, I actually kept speedrunning.
you are about to make
Kept doing all these things
to
offline.
this project.
Just preparing for a future stream, which is today. How about you, Onikage? How you doing? For reference, the Xel'lotath run was 738. That's the the last like good run